Welcome to Smidge on Science with me, Smidge Manly. This time we're looking at time itself, and I've come to this wood because it illustrates something perfectly. With nothing but the awesome power of time, blades of grass like these can become mighty trees. But what is time? Who decides what order all the seconds go in? And what happens to all the time we've already used? We'll find out answers to these and much more this time out. It turns out time's a very complex subject, so I've been doing a bit of reading, and these books say things like, time flies and it marches ever onwards. I can't get my head around how that works, so to put some of this nonsense into context, perhaps we should do a little experiment, something we can all understand. Come on. Ooh. Right. Well, we've all got lots of questions about time and how it works, so we've come to the laboratory to try and get some answers. And we're going to do an experiment here with some raisins. Now, these are raisins we got earlier from Sainsbury's. They're just ordinary raisins, and I've got my lab spoon, and I'm going to dump them into this jar here. And while they're going in there, right, oh, that's it, that'll do. So then we're going to add some water. We're going to carefully add this. There we go. Lovely. That's nice. In we go. Oh, there's not very much actually. Let's add a bit more. There we go. Right, now I'm going to put lid on. And by putting lid on, we're going to create a little time capsule. Nothing can interfere with that, except time itself. So we're going to put it in the fridge, we'll give it some time to work, and we'll come back and we'll visit it in a bit. Right. Well, it's been a few hours. It's time to check on our little experiment. Come on. Hey, look at that. That's grand, isn't it? Look, all those raisins have absorbed all the water and they've turned back into grapes. Well, that's amazing. Let's have a closer look. Hey there. That's grand, that is. Now, I wonder, have they just reabsorbed all the water? Or has this little time capsule allowed them to travel back in time to be the grapes they once were? I just don't know.
Well, we've seen the wonder of time, but we're now closer to understanding it. What I need is someone who's dedicated their life to it, someone who slices up seconds to see what they're made of. And luckily, I know just the man.
So who are you then?
My name is Maurice Connelly. I work for the Greenwich Time Laboratories.
Well, Maurice, thank you for coming down here to join us, because I didn't have time to go all the way to Greenwich. Can I tempt you to a shortbread finger?
No, thank you. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you.
OK, so who decided how long time is?
Well, it's not actually a thing that anybody decided. Time existed long before there were people to make decisions about it. It existed indeed before our world existed, and it will exist long after we are all gone. It is eternal, and there was always, if you like, a before there was a before. There'll always be an after.
What are you doing with all the time we've already had? Are you storing it all somewhere?
No. Time that has passed is very much in the past, and the past is not something that we can access. It doesn't go anywhere, and in fact, in every meaningful sense, time that has passed no longer exists. It exists only really in our memories as a construct of what we think.
So, how big is an hour?
Well, that's a surprisingly interesting question. It's one of my specialisms at the Greenwich Time Laboratories. The interesting thing is that actually, because an hour is a subdivision of a day is a subdivision of the time it takes for the Earth to rotate around the Sun, and the time it takes for the Earth to rotate actually changes every year with the differing patterns of the tides and the effects of...
At the Greenwich Time Department, have you ever put out a couple of hours in the wrong order?
No. I fear... Perhaps I've misled you slightly about the nature of what we do at the Greenwich Time Laboratories. We're not in any way manufacturing time. We observe it, we count it, we catalogue it, we conduct scientific experiments around it, but we're not responsible for putting it out. It happens of its own accord, and the hours simply fall into the right place, if you like, on their own.
I'm all very confused. It's quite complicated, isn't it?
Oh, yes.
So what have we learnt about time? Well, we've learnt time marches ever onwards, and it'll catch up with all of us like it has these folks here. But it's not just a force for evil, no, it also does good too. From growing mighty trees to turning raisins back into the grapes they once were. In this programme we've explored all what science has to offer, and even Penelope didn't have all the answers. But we've got all the time in the world to find them. Well, we're out of time now, so perhaps we'll never know. Goodbye. Are you enjoying all this science? Well, if you'd like more science with Smidge Manly, or any of the other stuff I make, then click one of these links and enjoy yourself.